I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Welcome to the RBC Danielle Securities Western Canada Showdown. We're very proud to sponsor this event for our communities around the area. We wish everyone great viewing and best of luck.
Hello and welcome to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown here in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. First draw, day one here in Swift Current. My name is Marty Thompson. I'll be calling play-by-play commentary for today's game between Team Chelsea Carey and Team Danielle Inglis. You see the first end is already underway. Lots of rocks in play here in this first end here in Swift Current. Team Inglis is just threw their rock down there. You saw that just sort of chip off of that 3 guard as we see Team Chelsea Carey electing to throw another one on top here. This is a triple knockout format here in Swift Current. Again, first round, first games here in Saskatchewan Curling Stadium. Will have games all weekend long. Lots of great games out of this spiel. Historically, there have been. See, Team Carey is throwing the yellow stones. Team Inglis is throwing the red. Saw a little bit in team practice here. I know some people were watching, tuning in a little early on, just both teams trying to figure out the curl. This one certainly floated on them, but it also hooked in pretty nicely underneath. You see now Danielle Inglis with some options at least to hit. Anyways, earlier on in the game, you saw the teams struggling with just getting that draw right to the center line. It seemed like they were getting fooled a little bit with the curl. Rocks were almost coming up right to the corner of the button. So we'll see how that progresses as these teams, again, this is their first game on this sheet. It is an extensive practice they have at the start, but nice little double here for Team Inglis. See, moving lots of rocks there. Was Lisa Daly with that one. Certainly a better shape here for the yellow stones, but should be a standard hit here for Team Carey. So we have their third, Carly Burgess, getting set. As mentioned, they'll be certainly feeling out the ice and hits down the center line. Interesting here, Burgess calling that it's heavy, but they are still keeping it straight. That's a nice little tidy roll there. Lots of pressure on this Ontario team early on here from Team Carey. Welcome everybody tuning in here. As mentioned, there'll be games throughout the weekend. Be sure to check in the chat later on here as this game progresses. Looks like first stones here from Keira Brunton at third. Quite close to ticking that one at the back. Team Carey electing to go after that stone there, and yeah, like just how she was intimating there, you could hit, you could roll your shooter off to the center. It appears that Team Inglis does have the hammer. This would be Burgess's second and final stone here in this first end. As mentioned, Inglis throwing the red stones and Carey throwing the yellow. And again, some good spacing here from Team Carey. Inglis electing to throw the come around. Keira Brunton here with the draw. See a little bit just based off of where Danielle put her broom. They were initially sort of putting their broom on those draws a little bit more into the 12-foot, not quite a quarter, but certainly touching that darker paint. Now this is down weight the sweepers are intimating here. Bailey and DeGroot. Good sweepers on this team though. I don't think your tolerance would be light on this shot. Unfortunately, it will come up short. I haven't seen many draws from either team here in the second half of this end. So again, just trying to figure out the ice and trying to figure out what you need to throw there. An unfortunate miss here for Team Inglis as Team Carey can now wrap around, and a little bit of a stagger here in the front, so it looks pretty good for them. Put a little bit of pressure on here again in the first end. Team Inglis with the hammer. Chelsea Carey. Bit of a new look for this squad. Of course, same three returning, but that new skip, new old skip in some ways. Certainly tried and tested in her own right. A very successful skip, taking the reins here from Jennifer Jones on this younger squad. Taking a slightly wider path, but they must think it's down weight. That's why you're getting that inside sweeper to remain on that stone. Top 8 would be pretty good, and that is exactly where that ends up. Now, it looks like it might be yellow just from this angle. It's a little tough to see, but real pressure on Danielle Inglis as she's going to have to draw around. Now, if you don't make this draw, if you do come up short, you do have that red potential raise there. Again, Inglis is throwing the red stones, so you could tap that one up. But this is a key shot in this end. Already facing a lot of pressure even without the hammer. Again, taking that same thing, a little bit of a wider path. You see where that broom is, just touching the darker paint of the 12-foot rings. It's like somewhere between a quarter and a half. Some would say it's a third, but it's not quite a third, let's be honest. Danielle Inglis, her first stone here in this first end here in Swift Current. Come around is the call. Electing to keep this rock wide. There's the carve, a little late. But we're seeing some good movement on those in practice. It will be just a little up weight. So we get a good view here from the top of the house. Yellow sitting, apologies, yellow was sitting 3. Now it looks like they're just sitting the 1. Now does Carey go after it? I think that's what they're discussing here. It looks like she will. So just judging with that weight, not a ton of speed required on this Drake takeout, heavy draw, whatever you want to call it. Just to bump that Red Rock back. Sit 4. You would almost want to roll out as well, just to make Danielle have a more difficult. Yeah, they're saying a little bit more weight and call it a little bit tighter. I think that's the call, just to ensure that you have your shooter roll out and that you make that draw difficult. Carey likely just seeing from that hack that, oh boy, we can't actually see a lot of that rock at the back 8. So final stone here for Team Carey in this first end. Make this right, you're sitting 3. Capping off a pretty good first end here without the hammer. Just making sure to keep this rock a little bit wider. Don't want to wreck, and that's a pretty nice shot. You will get a tidy little rollout. That's nice. Force Inglis to make the same shot twice, but it is a difficult draw when you look down and you're seeing 3 opposing stones, out counting yours, in the 8-foot rings. An entertaining first end here in Swift Current, I have to say. And it comes down to a nice little shot here at the end for Danielle Inglis out of Ontario. The GTA, this team is represented Ontario rather at the Ontario Scotties last year. Final stone here in the first. Inside sweeper, doesn't want to get off of it right now. It's really digging in here. It just sneaks by that top yellow stone. Clutch little draw from Danielle Inglis. This team escapes with the 1 point. They will give up the hammer though here in the second. We'll be right back for that end after this.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind. From pre-seed to post-harvest, you can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you
And welcome back here in Swift Current. Second end saw Team Danielle Inglis throwing the Red Rocks here scoring the one. A little bit of pressure here in the first end. And the first stones here from Cassandra de Groot, originally out of Collingwood Curling Club. Looked like the hit was the call. Good look to see how much you can carve these stones, but this was maybe just a smidge too much weight to be carvable. So Team Chelsea Carey with the hammer here after quite an effective first end, exactly where they want to be. Lauren Lennentine throwing first stones for this squad out of Manitoba. Lennentine originally of the Atlantic provinces, PEI, I believe, to be specific. Key is just to wrap this stone around this guard. To put a little bit more pressure on the other opposing lead there. Team Carey has automatically qualified for the 2025 Scotties. Of course, this team finished runners-up with Jennifer Jones skipping them in 2024. Carey joining means they retain that automatic berth. And you see they had that nice little wrap, just froze right on, and it will be a pretty solid hit from Daly. Good movement on that yellow stone as well. Looks like it kicks out just to the edge of the forefoot at the back. Carey electing to make the same draw, just coming around the center this time. Team Carey hasn't quite found the success on the Grand Slam circuit yet this year. They posted a 1-3 record at the Tour Challenge. They made the playoffs at the Canadian Open, but just made the quarterfinals there. That's as far as they went. Hoping to gear up a little bit, I'm sure, for the Scotties. Skipping a bit of the gauntlet that can be the Manitoba qualification process through their many competitive teams, both on the men's and women's sides. See, Emily Zacharias' draw there really over curled. It wasn't maybe a ton of rotation, but it's, you see just where that rock ended up. It's really just dove, especially past that first advertisement there closest to the house. Saw that a little bit in the practice too. Rocks are certainly wanting to dive there at that kind of that last section, I guess, of the curl just before the house. Something to keep in mind as we see this red rock traveling down the same path. They were expecting the curl, but maybe just didn't have the same weight to it. And it will come up a little short. So a set of staggered guards, and Team Chelsea Carey see an opportunity to really attack here. Play, hack wade or bumper and just promote that yellow rock into the red. Maybe get some decent spacing off of these yellow stones as well. Emily Zacharias is second here in this second end. For the second on Team Carey. Falling a little more than board. They're going for line anyways. And they make the shot well enough. Unfortunate not to keep that shooter around, but these stagger guards are not this Ontario team's friend, as we see Kira Brunton getting set for her first of two. She's going to have to make the draw around. Might be up weight. Only just. Now that's not the worst spot for that red stone. They can make it that way, but at least you're forcing Team Carey to make a shot here. Tolerance would have been light to a certain extent for Kira Brunton there. You know, you obviously don't want another 3-guard, but at least there'd be something higher to still use. But at the end, not the worst miss here for this team, even though you're really just a stone behind where you wanted to be. Carly Burgess is first here. Playing something really soft, ensuring that you keep the shooter. Now, they've seen this line many times at this point. Hers really took off a little earlier than some of the other stones we've seen. You want a sort of a big roll here, and they will get that. Nice little spacing here for that yellow rock as you saw it gear, the shooter gear in front of that other one. So it looks like they're going to try to remove them. Must be some separation on those stones for sure. Here Brunton can throw some pretty big weights, so make these go away and maybe have your shooter roll underneath. And they will get rid of both. Oh, well, they won't get that first one. So maybe there wasn't as much separation on those yellows as it seemed. So another opportunity here for Carey to put the pressure on. Have this hit, have it roll out, and put Inglis in a position where she has to, again, cold draw into this 4-foot. Like the play calling here from Carey, you know, certainly an aggressive skip, which is just fun, for one. But there's lots of great opportunities to put pressure on, and she's not shying away from it, which is great, especially in the first draw. Now, this one is going to overcurl on them. Perhaps a bit of a plan B. They were kind of in between there. You could have had it roll underneath, but yeah, that was a difficult position to be in. Again, these teams certainly trying to figure out the ice. These errors will come in the first game. The Inglis there intimating a double as possible. It's hard to tell from this angle if they're perfectly flat or if we have a little bit of spacing on them. Again, you're not going crazy. Team Inglis is throwing the red stones. You see the scoreboard is incorrect for now, but they will be trying to go after Team Carey, which will be throwing the yellow stones. Danielle's first here in this second end. Opportunity to potentially get a double. If not, you can hit and roll. You can make the shot several different ways. You just have to get the inside half of that yellow stone behind Brunton's groove. And some decent movement. It's going to overcurl on them slightly. And they do jam that one at the back, nearly doubled that one. So same thing, that rock overcurled on them. This line is certainly different. I'm not sure if they saw something in a release that they didn't like. It was tight pretty much out of her hand, but getting lots of good movement on these. Team Carey with the chance to come around. And again, if you sink this one, boy, if you could ever put it top 4 or something, could really start to put yourself in a pretty good position here early on in Swift Current. Had maybe 10 or 11 of these rocks come down this path. So Carey's been in a great position to see these stones and understand what this line is going to do on a draw. Weight will be a factor, though. See Burgess immediately plowing it. They don't like the weight, I'd imagine. You're keeping it out a little bit there, but I think weight's the most important thing. Again, they want it probably top 4 or something, top 8. That's a pretty good outcome. That was some really intelligent sweeping there too for Burgess. Again, if you kind of feel like it's down weight, you know, if you're physically able, of course, I know that's not for everybody at every level of the game, but that little plow can go a long way in just prolonging the shot's distance. I said, I guess elongating is probably the word to use, without having to affect the line too much. They did keep it out a little bit wider, as you can see. That's not exactly where they'd want that to be, poking out a bit, but that was the tolerance, because now you really do see Inglis and Kira Brunting having to have some difficult conversations about how they want to address this end on her final stone. You're giving the other skip certainly options, which can be good, can be bad, but at the end of the day, none of these options are pretty good. So Inglis, as you can see, intimating there that draw, trying to determine, you know, the corner freeze on either side of that yellow stone. I would imagine the yellow stone is pretty close to the tee line, likely just in front of it. So this would be to certainly limit Carey, shrink the scoring area. Looks like it's a little wider than they want it to be. Here comes the carve. And that is just about as good as she could have made it. Fantastic clutch shot here from this Ontario skip. And Carey really not looking at two good options. You see Zacharias with the classic hum-ha. Depends how aggressive you really want to be at this stage. And thank you, Wendy, for the comment. We have updated the score here, as you can see, which is great. And this is the last stone, as the scoreboard is also telling me, which is great. So as mentioned earlier on, yeah, Carey sort of maybe looking at that little slash, depends how aggressive you want to be, et cetera, et cetera. They're just going to make that draw for 2. So you got to be full 4 here, coming on the in-turn side for Chelsea Carey. And another reason why she might want to make this shot is she just made it. So maybe throw that 4 feet more, let your sweepers kind of figure it out from there, and take your 2 and move into the 3rd. And we're back here at the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Apologies there for that issue. I think it maybe froze. The camera's on us here in Swift Current. But as you can see from the scoreboard up there on the board, Team Carey did score their 2, made the draw into the 4-foot to take the lead here going into the third end. And now we have, again, the score is 2-1. And now Team Danielle Inglis with the hammer. And electing to come around on those 2 guards down the middle for Chelsea Carey. Looking to sort of protect the key. Well, Team Carey looking at a nice little setup here as they're looking to put a little bit of pressure on Team Inglis. They've certainly outplayed their Ontario counterparts thus far in the first game of this triple knockout. And a little plow. It's certainly looking wider here. Here comes the carve. And that will be maybe just a smidge too much weight. Could have been a sweeper error there as well. I know they put a little bit of a broom down there, but it will come to the back 4. And that was Emily Zacharias' first of 2. Kalisa Daly is now up here for Team Inglis. Second year in Ontario with this team. It's originally from the Pembroke area. Played for several different teams, regionally anyways, in this country. A bit of a discussion there with their skip in terms of where they want this next stone to go. Looks like they're deciding to come right onto that yellow stone at the back. It's a good angle there on the top. You can see red is likely just shot top 4. Looking for a good sweep just to sort of meld onto that yellow one. It's over curling on them though. And tolerance-wise, that's not the worst miss. But Team Carey will likely have to go after these reds. And she will do so with some big weight right down the middle here. Emily Zacharias with the throw. All 6 stones in the house for now, but likely not for long. And another over curl there. I guess an issue potentially for Team Carey. No, the scoreboard says they have the hammer, but they in fact do not. Is that you have these 2 corner guards now. So something for Team Inglis to potentially take advantage of. 2 corner guards that are staggered to a certain extent. Looks like it just over curled on Zacharias there. This will be Daly's last in this third end. The call was, I believe, to just come right on top of the pile of the red. They will chip off this yellow, and where does it end up? Not too bad, not too bad. Now Carey will likely have this red and clear it all out. Yes, I believe there's enough space on those just to poke those away. Big weight here coming from Carly Burgess. You'd really want that shooter just to remain right dead on the center line. Zacharias trying to promote this rock, trying to get it to curl over slightly. Can they get enough of that red? They do, and it will go just outside of that 8-foot outer ring. Hard to tell who's shot here right now, or second shot, I should say. Yellow is shot, obviously, the back four, but not a bad setup there for Team Chelsea Carey, thanks to that big weight from Burgess. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in here. Apologies for the technical issue we had in the end of the second end. Thank you, Diane, for your comment. Appreciate the support. Happy to be watching curling just like you are right now. So you don't have to thank me for anything. Kira Brunton's stone here, maybe also over curling and also hitting this yellow one. Now, where does this roll? Oh, interesting. It'll come right dead frozen to yellow. Or maybe not quite dead frozen, but close to it. Wow, there might be enough spacing for the double here. So Burgess with a chance to throw 2 big weight hits to really change the complexion of this end again. Team Inglis with the hammer. You actually want to get a pretty thin part of this red stone. Interested why they're not sweeping it. Oh, okay, I see. Let's see if they get both. Just came over top. You know what? Not the worst result, as you can see from this top angle. Did even move that red back a little bit, but yellow is quite crucially sitting 2. Yeah, that was quite close. Again, you needed to hit a really thin part of it, actually. And they just sort of came over top. So Kira Brunton's second here. Won the North Bay mixed doubles event. It's 2 weeks ago now. Wes Forget is her partner. They played great in that event. Came up against the Hegsteads in the final, and they both can play, obviously, a good doubles game, right? Good touch weight, but both capable of throwing some really effective big weight shots. Saw that several times in that event, in that semifinal as well. They were executing on some quite precise big weight stones and understanding the ice crucially for those. Another thing in doubles is you don't tend to play a ton of that big weight throughout the game, so when you do get an opportunity and you can at least understand what the ice is doing, it certainly increases your chances of making them. You get fewer opportunities to calibrate is what I should say. Team Carey, they have just seen this shot from Burgess, so now it's going to be Chelsea's turn to try to make the same thing. Slightly thinner, but I think the crucial thing is if you stick that shooter on the one at the red, where your sort of catcher, to use that term, on the edge of the 8-foot, then you make a pretty awkward double if Inglis wants to go after that to try to activate this redstone that's at the upper end of the house. Because that really, it will be Inglis's goal is to try to activate that stone eventually, knowing how good of a hitter Chelsea Carey is. First of 2 here for the skip from Calgary. Calling it tight. Again, you need to hit a thin part. Now, unsure if that overcurled as much. That was exactly what they were thinking, or if they really did want to have that roll behind the staggers. That could have been the call too, is to have that roll to about where Danielle's broom sort of intimated there on the right-hand side if we're looking in the right pane. Because that would have been a really good spot too. You could have been sitting 2 and force her to make a awkward cross-house double. Speaking of which, I think that's going to be the call here from Inglis in her first of 2, is hit that yellow stone and try to roll across the house. There's a great view to see it there, and try to roll into the opposite 8-foot. You'd be sitting 2 and you'd practically force Chelsea Carey to have to just hit that open red one at the back, and then you would take your 2 and at least take a lead here going into the 4th end. Inglis is first here with the hammer in this third end. Nice hit on that yellow and a big roll across the house. Comes down to weight, and they will just knock that shot out. Fantastic throw here from Inglis. That is just about perfect. Look how flat those reds are. Let's take another look at this. Really good read on the line. You know, the weight was tons of weight, as you can see, and just about perfect. Fantastic shots. And you can see in that left pane just how buried those two red stones are behind those staggered guards. And we talked about that earlier in the end, where the Team Carey tried to remove those yellow stones and they just ended up rolling over to the corner. That really ended up sinking them here. As you can see, Chelsea Carey is forced to draw into the side of those red stones, you know, in behind the staggers that they created as a bit of a bailout. So credit to Team Inglis. They've now put Team Carey under a bit of pressure here in this third end. If you're just joining us now, it's Team Carey has been really applying on lots of pressure on this team through the first two. Had Inglis shooting against a couple. And now it's going to be Chelsea's Carey turn to do just that. Curious if they think this is a little heavy. They want to have a good carve. This is really sailing on them. And it will bump out exposed. So Team Inglis with a chance for an open hit and stick for 4 in the third end. What a change of events this has been. Final stone here for the team out of Ontario. The hit coming down the center line. Yeah, it's fantastic first shot from the skipper to give herself this opportunity and to put the other team into a bit of a pickle, and she certainly deserves to have this shot for 4 here in this third end. And a fantastic first game here in Swift Current. Final stone here in the third. Feels like it's really grabbing on the center line. Want to keep it a little bit straight. You want to be able to keep the shooter, and she will do just that. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Danielle Inglis here in the third. They take a big lead going into the fourth end here in Swift Current. We'll be right back.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know Sasktel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With Sasktel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Sasktel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Welcome back here to Swift Current in the fourth end. Marty Thompson with the call here between Danielle Inglis and Chelsea Carey. And just shows you how slim the margins can be when you're playing on, new ice, new event. Team Carey played fantastic for the first two ends, really looked like they were in control. And you just have that one little mishap here from Team Carey at the end. Gave Inglis the 4 spot in a 3-point lead here early on. Team Carey, though, they do have the hammer, and they'll be going a little bit more aggressive here, going for those corner guards, one on either side. Laura Lenentine, my apologies there, that they are attacking the same side. They will chip off that guard, though. And it looks like it will roll into the rings. Hard to tell. And we'll have the other skip confirmed for us. Why not? It is confirmed in the rings. They can go after it. Good opportunity here for Team Inglis to control the front of the house. As mentioned earlier, they were Team Ontario in the last Scotties. 3-5 record, played quite well that week. With Team Homan to be missing the Ontario Provincials again this year because they're Team Canada. This team will be ramping up for those Ontario Scotties. Rock will over curl on them, and it will narrowly avoid that rock in the top 4, but it does provide Team Carey with the draw in behind. We have Zacharias here on the come around. A bit of a tricky shot to send that to the back 8. Really want to set up the hits here for Carly Burgess, who's been throwing them well. The 3rd position thus far this game. Wrap this one around. You got to beat that guard, and they will not. So second stone here to be fooled by this team and how much it curls. Really ticking, as you see there, just how where that yellow rock ended up. Really ticking these low guards, these 3s or 3.5s. Wasn't real tight to the rings. Opportunity here from Daly to have a nice little tidy hit and roll. It's got a boogie on her, though. And it will just skate through the top 8. Now for Carey, what do? You come around again? Yeah, sure, I guess so. You've got that opportunity now. You've seen that a few times. Oh, never mind. They're going to play the hit, I think. Hit and roll underneath. Give Zacharias something else to throw. My apologies, it is the draw. That's a decent finish there from Lenentine at the end, just to carve it over, just to get a few more inches buried. You can see it, but it is ugly considering you really have to hit it precise. You don't want to have that hit and roll all the way. You don't have a lot of room to hit and roll, I should say, considering it's below the tee line. Here, Brunton's first. See DeGroot calling that it's maybe a little heavier than they had initially called. And they will get a pretty nice roll on that, actually. Great spacing on these red stones. Chelsea Carey forced to try to just come to the top of this red that's in the top 4 foot as we approach Vice stones here for Team Carey. Early Burgess. Ooh, that really hooked at the end. That's not a bad spot for the team throwing the yellow stones. Overcurled slightly, so Inglis will have a chance to go after it, but this has to be pretty precise as well. Carey forced to be very aggressive here in this fourth end, considering they're looking at that 3. Those corners didn't quite turn out the way that they had envisioned, so certainly lots of red in the middle now for them. Lovely little hit here from Kiera Brunton. Gets rid of 2 of her own, but in a great spot here with Chelsea Carey instructing her vice to come around again on that side. Okay, they're going to come down to that one. I was going to say, if you came around that red stone, that's that kind of corner guard position, you could get it buried and you could be shot. Both are valid. Depends which one you can make, considering it has to be pretty precise, but the option was there to come around for sure. Inglis circling this one looks maybe just a little heavy. And the classic double sweeper behind the tee line. It will roll out to be second shot. That's some smart play calling there from Inglis to just say, hey, we don't have to really worry about this yellow one. We could just come in and sit top 4 or tee line buried and have all 3 red stones in a line. That's pretty good, right? Also depends if you think your opposing skip is struggling with anything in particular, but I think Chelsea Carey's draw weight's been pretty good, I feel like. And maybe the call is just to remove this yellow stone. And thanks everyone for tuning in here. The RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown in Swift Current. Games all weekend long. All day, in fact. Also have some other games going on right now, some with commentary, in fact, too. So check those out as well. One of the final big spiels here before the Christmas break, and then we're right into a slam and the provincials and provincial qualifying here for the women, and the last big spiels here of the year. Big sweep here from Cassandra. Can you keep this straight? Yes, you can. And they will have a nice little roll out. So not a bad little spot for this team, as they will at least put Carey into a position where she has to make a pretty nice draw. Apologies, I believe that was Khalees who had that sweep there, but a fantastic one nonetheless. Emily Zacharias holding the broom here for Team Carey. A draw in behind. We want it nice and tucked underneath that red, and potential jam opportunity on the back red as well. This Carey still seeking a 2 spot here in the 4th. And this one will again over curl for Team Carey. That is, I guess, the third stone this end, if my memory serves me correctly, of this team not quite getting the line right or not figuring out the rocks quite yet. At the start of the end, it really put them in a position where they couldn't quite attack the way they wanted to. And now in this position, it's going to put Team Carey in a difficult position if Team Inglis can just make this hit. Makes the draw pretty ugly. And his final stone here for this team from Ontario, electing to go inside out on the hit. I think they've maybe seen what the center line does here throughout this game and throw it down there. And if you get a little bit of rollover, that's okay, but you would really like to nose it. A little bit more ice. Final stone here for this team from Ontario in the fourth. Yeah, maybe just brought it across her body just a little bit when she let go. But this should be pretty nice for a nose hit. Excellent. Great spot. So Team Chelsea Carey sees the draw through that port. She can see that hit on that red stone that was just thrown by Team Inglis is not too nice looking. Just the hit and stick to try to score. So come into the white paint to score your one. As mentioned, Team Carey don't want a rock to over curl here. That's the tolerance is certainly to be a little bit wider, and you've got lots of that 8 foot in order to score your one. So make sure you're out there. Again, this has been a game of skips really shooting against some pressure situations. Now Carey shooting against 3. Call to keep it straight pretty early here. And will this one over curl on them as well? It looks like it just might. Now that might be for 2, potentially 3. The Vices will take a look at it, but nonetheless a crucial steal here for this team from Ontario in the fourth, going into our little break here, halftime break. Well played from this team from Ontario. Team Carey still chasing for sure. We'll be right back here from Swift Current.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
we asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Well, we're back here from Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. Team Inglis up 7-2 here through the fifth end of play against Team Carey. In the first half of this game it's been a story of two halves, so to speak, where Team Carey started really strong. They felt like they had a good read on the ice. They were certainly in control, putting lots of pressure on, playing aggressive, causing some issues for sure. And then in the second half of that first half, all Inglis. Carey certainly with their misses, but some great execution here, especially through the front three of this team. It felt like their hits have been a little bit more accurate than Team Carey. They seem to be out-throwing them there through those first crucial setup stones, and then going into the skip stones. There's certainly been a slight advantage here to Inglis over the bulk of the game. We love to see lots of rocks in play and lots of interesting ends shaping up here so far. See Daly maybe just a little light on that one. Going to come up and create another staggered guard. Now this is a nice little setup for Carey as they look at not only the corners but the middles as well. Time to tuck some rocks underneath and see if you can get back to how you're playing in the first end or two of this game. Emily Zacharias throwing it to her two teammates in Lauren Lenentine and Carly Burgess. These three have seen a lot together. Drag this one as far as you can. Top button's fine. It will run just a little short, but it's still quite useful for this team. Again, these three back-to-back runners-up in the Scotties. Skipped by Jennifer Jones. We all remember watching that Scotties final last year, or I guess, sorry, this year technically, last season. An emotional one for Jones, but even for these younger curlers, you know, seems like they haven't been around for a long time, but they have. You think about their prowess at the junior level and that Scotties debut during the pandemic with Emily's sister Mackenzie, and had quite a run there, was quite impressive. You know, they've seen a lot of success, but at a certain point, you really want to think, when is it going to be my time to taste some of the winnings, even on Grand Slam Tour as well. It's a similar story, but Carey's also a great skip for this team. You know, like in any sport, you want to mix in that youthful exuberance and skill with a bit of that old head mentality, or being able to mentor these athletes, you know, same as Jones. Big shoes to fill for sure, but, you know, it's a team makeup that on paper has a lot of positives to it. Certainly felt like a no-brainer when they announced that this was going to be the lineup. You know, you can't really say too much more about the first three throwers on this team, Team Carey. I mean, it's been quite consistent at the Scotties level, of course. Making finals is difficult, certainly difficult. And you can tell they've really grown into these positions that they occupy, even from that first Scotties, but certainly been around the block now, and really think their time will be coming. Pretty crucial carve here. Now they got it going. You want to just tap this yellow rock back, and that's really nice. Really nice setup here. Might not be shot, but it's close. I'd like to see that kind of shot making too here from Carey, is just leaving those guards, tap up some stuff. You can tell that it curls enough. You can carve it over. You know, you can start to play with a little bit of fire anyways around some of these rocks. And quite crucially, make the other skip have a think. Now, maybe the right call is to rip these. Yeah, where does that end up is right. Certainly have lots of options on for Team Inglis, but the run is the call, knowing it's here Brunton throwing it. Certainly some big weight. This is a great sweep here from DeGroot, getting it moving. And we'll just skim that. So maybe something in the release, considering it was that much weight. Certainly not the outcome they were looking for. And Team Carey again being aggressive, just trying to tap up that Yellowstone again. Could sit 4. Nice touch shot attempt here coming from Carly Burgess. Sweepers down right away. Overcurling wouldn't be the worst. Now you do want to have some weight to this. Want some separation once you hit that, and they will get it. Okay, so not a bad shape here for the team throwing the yellow stones. Because if you're Inglis now, attacking these ones, since you have these rocks at the top, is risky. But it might be worth going after here for Brunton. See Inglis there just saying, boy, let's just go after that shot stone. Or sorry, not shot stone, I should say, the rock that was just thrown. And get a little inside roll, but it's got to be hard to tell exactly the separation on them, but you can tell it's got to be quite precise. If you nose it, or float out, then they sit 4 or 3, and then they're just guarding to try to protect against more rocks being thrown. Yeah, Brunton doing the smart thing, just coming down and taking a look at the angles. It looks like maybe from the house that you could try to even pick that yellow one sideway. I don't know if they're seeing those kind of hits as other possibilities. Yeah, that might be the call. You can miss this shot, of course, but certainly a key point in this end. Carey with a decent shape in the forefoot. Keir Brunton with a chance to try to make some movement. They're going to play the in off. And it will get a piece. No, it will not. Oh, that is agonizingly close. Always hard to tell on stream, but it looked like you could almost get a little bit of a shadow under that yellow rock the second it passed. That was agonizingly close for this team. I think if you get even a piece of it, it's good shape. Yeah, you just, oh, so close. So Team Carey electing to tap up this yellow stone. And this is the right call because if you did want to try to tap up the yellow, your shooter would kind of roll into potentially an ugly spot, and then Inglis is attempting to hit. But if you can just sort of send this one just a little bit over and maybe tap that red out, I'm not sure exactly how much weight they want to throw, then you could be sitting 5 and have, crucially, those 4 yellow stones in the top 8. They're waiting for it to cut. It just cut there now. This looks pretty nice. And they've got it to sit 4, so not a bad shape. So Danielle Inglis is now taking a look and seeing, boy, which 2 or 3 stones actually make sense to remove. For us to attempt, at least, to remove. Before you comment, chat, it's okay to say, I'm not sure. It's okay to admit that you don't know. Because nothing looks quite good. This, however, could at least get the most rocks moving. Just nosing, or in, yeah, a little bit inside for sure. See if you can't double. Those rocks are in the 4-foot. Keeping your shooter up high would be nice too. Not losing it. You might have something on your last. This game is just so many rocks in play, just so many opportunities for a new hinge point or a new momentum swing. First stone here from Inglis now floating on them a little bit. No, it's going to come in. It's going to come in. And they stuff it. And unfortunately, that was the most likely scenario out of that. Now, for Team Carey, you're still in a position where you're trying to protect these 3. Yeah, I like that. I think you just sort of tap that other top 4, biting top 4 stone into the mixer. Or you just hit and roll that way and then let Danielle try that again. What's your best way to score a bundle, I think, is the call. I don't mind that either. That I think that was Lenentine just sort of intimating, why don't you just draw and just corner freeze there? There's way, yeah, and then if you throw it too heavy, you could do what Burgess is intimating there, which, you know, you could just tap it up. So there's a couple ways you could still miss the shot and still get the desired outcome. So it looks like that might be the call. Again, just judging on the line, I know they've been calling things just a little tighter, but judging on the line, this might be more of that tap weight, back of house weight. Does everybody at home like this shot? I haven't seen too much action in the chat. Feel free to chime in. Curling wasn't arguing about what the right shot is. It'd be nothing. That's the whole dang thing. First of 2 here for Chelsea Carey. Playing on top of her own yellows there in the top 4. I actually think this one's wide, which is good. Tolerance should be wide. Oh, it's coming in really nice. Going to keep on it, and it's just going to skim underneath now. Hard to tell, obviously, on stream, but that is not the first stone of Chelsea Carey's that is over-curled in this game. Something to keep in mind. I know it's not maybe she doesn't throw as much rotation as some of these younger players, if memory serves. But just something to keep in mind is that they're really getting kind of fooled with that, I think. Because you see now, as much as it is kind of ugly for Team Inglis, there might be some angle in which you can get rid of 2. Don't ask me how, but I think it's possible. So if you made that right, if it really did sit in that top 8 area, they might have been able to poke out that that rock in the top 8 for 1, but like that would be the only shot that would be clean. I think otherwise you're trying something and you're only getting 1 out anyways. But back to the shot, yeah, do they see that double? I don't know. I guess it's if you over curl, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You might jam on that red stone, but you have lots of rocks to catch. Talking about if you're looking at the right pane of our screen there, the rock on the left side biting the top 4. If you try to hit that one into the one on the button, and then if you over curl, of course the risk would be you jam or you just send that yellow rock into the red, but then your shooter just kind of rolls potentially just in between those yellow stones on the right side. Or you smash this bundle that's on the other side of the house and see if you can't spill them. It's maybe possible that you could maybe get 3 of them. I don't know. Something like that. You get a lot of them. And that would be if you're playing across. So yeah, does this do something? Interested to see. Yeah, I think they're eyeing that up. So final stone here for Inglis in this 5th end. Judging by the ice, it might just be kind of that draw in to try to limit the scoring area. If you manage to get a red rock in between any of those yellows in that top 4, top 8 range in that little funnel, then you can certainly shrink the scoring area. Carey will most likely not have a great way to remove it. It might not be worth it either. Final stone here for the team from Ontario. Seems like they like it. They got a curl though. How much will this move? You do get a little chisel, but it will be enough to sit 3rd. So perhaps that's a pretty good outcome. Forces Carey to a draw on this side to just touch the 4 for 4 points. So pretty solid outcome. Again, if Inglis wasn't feeling those angles, which, you know, there really weren't any angles that felt natural, then this works for sure. Carey still has to make this draw to that 4 foot that you can see just beside Emily Zacharias as she looks at it herself. Just need to touch a little bit of that light blue paint to take 4 points going into the 6th. And they won't have the hammer in the even ends, but at this point, taking a 4 spot is pretty good. Final stone here in the 5th. Want to make sure they keep it wide. I think they can afford to wick off that yellow only slightly. And they're keeping that nice wide path. See what the weight's like. Can they bite it? I think they only just get it. Hard to tell exactly, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's a 4 spot for yellow. Yes, it is. So we will be right back here from Swift Current after a big end in the 5th.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know Sasktel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With Sasktel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Sasktel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Welcome back to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown, Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Curling Stadium, Curling Zone. My name is Marty Thompson with commentary today. And we have quite the barn burner here on sheet number 4. First game of this triple knockout. Team Chelsea Carey returning the big score here in the 5th with that nice little 4 spot, taking things into the 6th. And Lenentine coming around her own guard, and nice little shape there for Carey throwing the yellow stones. And we have Cassandra de Groot throwing the corner. Mentioned earlier to Groot, originally out of Collingwood. Team English really has like a pan-Ontario kind of feel to it, with Inglis being based out of the GTA and the connections to Ottawa. I mean, they play out of the Ottawa Hunt and Golf Club. DLA's out of Pembroke. And even the coach, Kim Tuck, is out of the London area. Former national doubles champion herself. They're really touching them all in the Southern Ontario region of this sport. Meantime, Team Carey is retaining their position out of Manitoba. Carey will be considered the import. Of course, in their position, the Scotties, that's not necessarily applicable with the automatic qualification, but worth noting. Big weight here from Calissa Daly. Trying to just clear that guard out, and they will. Wasn't doing them too many favors with how Carey was surrounding that red stone that's in the top four. With Emily Zacharias here with the draw. Or my apologies to the guard. And the key will be just as it stays on line, just on that side of the center line, and it will. Great little spot for that stone. Taking a quick look at the other sheets in action, I think you can see some familiar faces and jerseys on those opposite sheets. See Team Caitlin Laws up 7-2 over Jolene Campbell. That's our other feature game here, Curling Stadium. Last update there is that they're through the fourth end, playing the fifth. Jolene Campbell with the hammer. Laws with the four spot there as well. So not the only four spot we've had in Swift Current yet. Where we have Zena Swaller and Serena Gray Withers. See at Edmonton, the Golden Bears there, uniforms. I'm sure you've seen watching these streams before. They are down 3-2 to Schwaller, the team out of Switzerland. They're playing the fifth. Schwaller has the hammer in the lead. And then on our final sheet here, Michelle Englot out of Regina, Saskatchewan, up 5-2 over Orsted. Looks like they're playing the sixth then, so they're on pace with us. And Orsted has the hammer, down by 3. So Inglis really put into a position where you got to play with some amount of risk, considering you do have the hammer here. It's kind of touched on there at the end of the last end that Inglis does have the hammer in the odd ends, meaning they'll have it in the 6th and the 8th. That's one more than the other team will have during the final 3 ends for those counting. So you certainly don't want to give one up, but the idea of just trying to run this one back, and if you clear it out, that's fine. The potential that you could plant it for a really nice position. And they'll do exactly that as it rolls over top of that yellow stone that's in the 4-foot. The Carey intimates that they are just sitting the 2. So let's put the guard back up, I think, is the call. Yeah, you want to protect against that red, yellow. If Team Inglis ever managed to make that, you could even have your shooter kind of roll to the center, and you could suddenly have a couple stones that are down the center line and protected. It's a smart, pragmatic call here from Carey, considering they are just sitting the 2. Without the hammer, you certainly want to protect that. And another great guard here from this team. Figured out the ice for sure on this side. Would they ever try that double? Is that too silly? Maybe it is, but at least the hit and roll underneath or something. It's tough where I think if they were in a different position, if they were down, they might try that. It's slender, but certainly have the trust in Kira Brunton's ability to hit that. Here comes a rocket down the sheet. Where's this going to end up? And they will clear the guard and have a similar position where they are melded to that other yellow stone. So these reds are really well protected. Certainly puts Team Carey in a precarious position where, yeah, they have to go after them, I guess. Have to keep in mind that we also have that rock there that's in the rings to the outside 12. Team Carey doing a classic TV timeout here. Doing that shot that Burgess is intimating to, that sort of hit and roll, is trying to get 2 shots in one, essentially, because I think Gary's maybe even intimating to guarding again, which is fine. You have to guard one of the 2 shots that Inglis can have, right? She could either try to do that double, remove that yellow rock that's a little bit higher, or she could just run that red into the yellow. So either way, she's going to have something to remove your stones. So I think the methodology here is, why not try to ensure that we have another one of our stones in the rings? And if you hit this right, it could even be shot. So hit that red stone that's just melded to the yellow, have it roll across the top, maybe even come to the middle of the house would be ideal. Make a tricky double or triple for Inglis to activate these stones that are in front of the house. Playing it inside out. The natural way here for sure. I think they're intimating that this rock is up. It's got to move then. Don't like that expression on Carey's face. Will they get a big piece of it? They will. And why not that? And most importantly, got that other stone there at the back. So at least move them around a little bit. That's pretty good. I think it was maybe not what they were expecting, but nice little result. Now, it does give Inglis a bit of a hit or something. I think they maybe see this. Now, it would probably cross Carey's mind that maybe not the most comfortable hitter based off of the last end. I don't know, that was more of a tactical decision, but I think they do have something to at least be sitting 2, 3, and 4. So I'll take that at this point. And we did have Caitlin Law's shake there on Jolene Campbell. They win 9-2. You see them just celebrating there to the left of our screen. So they move on here in this triple knockout format. Move down the A side qualifier. Jolene Campbell drops. Big shot here in this 6th end. Danielle Inglis up one with the hammer. Chance to move some yellow granite. Looks pretty close to what they're looking for. A real thin part of it. And they get them all to go. Fantastic shot from Danielle Inglis. She has been nothing short of brilliant today. Another fantastic shot. Such a tidy triple. Never in doubt coming down. I know they had that little carve on it, but that is a fantastic shot. And puts Carey in quite a bind here. Drawing to the back 4 for sure. Makes sense. But wow, what a fantastic game this has been from this team from Ontario. Certainly a little shaky to start, but they've really come into their own here in Saskatchewan. So, the quick timeout here to just sort of assess what they would want Inglis to likely throw in her last. Or do you try to double these out? Yeah, what's the risk and reward on this? I think Burgess is seeing, maybe hit and try to roll in behind. It's possible you could get rid of the 2 red stones and have your shooter roll behind that red. That's top 12. Just touching the 8-foot. Seems to make some sense. That might be the call. Yeah, just taking a look at the scoreboard here, it's in a difficult position, having the fewer number of hammers, but at the same time, facing 3, down 1, you got to be a certain amount of aggressive. You got to crank that dial just a little bit over. So in this case, this is again a nice double circumstance where you can get potentially rid of both those reds and you move over and make that shot difficult for Inglis. Keep in mind, you might also, if you do get this roll nice, you might even have a catcher at the back there with that yellow. Final stone here for Team Carey. It's tight, really tight. And it'll just be a dead nose. So difficult position here for them. That needed to be extra precise as we have Danielle Inglis with a chance to hit and stick for 3. Another big end incoming potentially for the team from Ontario. These teams have traded 4 spots in this game. Been quite a wild ride. Momentum's been everywhere. And that one single in the first end looks pretty standard if it wasn't for those who watched the first end knows just how crazy it was and how Inglis really had to make a difficult shot there at the end to ensure they got their one. So she's been playing great. Let's see if she's got another shot in her here in the 6th end. 7-6. They're up by 1. Final stone here in the 6th. Chance to hit stick for 3. This one's also tight. Going to overcurl on them slightly, I think, but it should be enough to keep the shooter around. It will. as it rolls into the 8-foot, and they are in great position here now. Count that, 3 more points, 10-6 going into the 7th end.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting. We'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
And welcome back here to Swift Current, the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. Team Inglis versus Team Carey here in the first draw of this triple knockout. And Inglis with that tidy little 3 spot to go up 10-6 here in the 7th end. Just looking ahead to the bracket, winner of this game will advance to take on the winner of Schwaller Gray Withers. That'll be today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 3 p.m. Central. As they move on in their bracket, there's some pretty big heavy hitters. We've got Corinne Brown. We've got Team Anderson in there as well on their side of the A flight. The other side's got Caitlin Laws and Fujisawa. So certainly some big names here in Swift Current. The loser will again drop down to that B event. They'll be awaiting the loser of the game at 12:30 Eastern between Carey Anderson and then the winner of Englot and Orsted, which is taking place right now. And that game will also take place today at 4 p.m. Or my apologies, that's 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Again, the losers will go down to there. Winners will play today at 4. Inglis with that nice double-digit point score. Certainly feel confident in how they played here in this first event. Team Carey is no slouch. They've played quite well. It's Carey's real last gasp here to try to score some points. It's had some decent shapes. You know, they had 3 rocks in the top 4 last end. They weren't ideally lined up, but you did force the other skip to have to make a shot. The only problem is that Inglis hasn't missed much today. This come around is going to be just a tiny bit short here from Cassandra de Groot. I don't think it'll change their Team Carey's shot calling too much. So again, they really try to go aggressive here with these corner guards. And just making sure it has the right weight to it. And looking back in this game, it's been tons of pressure applied to both sides throughout. We're just talking about the first end there where Team Inglis was drawing against, I believe, 3. Was there only one spot in the game thus far where Inglis had this really clutch draw to come around and sit in. It's been quite nip and tuck despite the scores. And you think back to that third end where I believe that was Zacharias trying to clear off those yellow guards that were right down the middle. Zacharias is up here and cleared them out to his extent of just moving them over as staggered corner guards. And they didn't have the hammer, so that really put them in a difficult position too. They ended up giving up a 4 spot in that one. Been a couple hinge points in this one for sure. That one really comes to mind. A shot I'm sure she'll want back. It was really just an unfortunate bounce off that stone too in the third end. The one that ended up being a 3 guard just kind of bounced off of a stone that was top 12 on the other side and just skated right across, or not quite top 12, but on the other side and just sort of skated all the way across. Really set them up for a big end. Both teams have been quite good at shooting against a lot of pressure at the end of the game, so I certainly can expect we'll see that here in the 7th end as Team Chelsea Carey are really chasing. Not too bad of a stagger of these redstones in the middle for them. They might be able to get lucky unless Kira Brunton makes a roll. She's just dead nuts it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, just try to come in and make the same shot again. Try to sit 2 here. That is really the most advantageous part of the 4-foot is that one on Chelsea Carey's side, because there's no really nice run in there. You know, you could try to do red or yellow-red, but as you can tell, to get to that side of the 4-foot is going to be a little ugly. See, Zacharias holds the broom right down low, gets a lot of weight on there. Trying to keep it straight, and it will just wreck. See the frustration there from Burgess, as that is kind of not what you're looking for at this point. Giving Brunton, again, who's hit quite well, the opportunity to run this yellow into the yellow. And another story of the game for sure has been Team Carey over curling and wrecking on the odd shot. I think it was the 4th when they were really trying to set up those corner guards and just ended up ticking stuff in towards the middle, which was quite unfortunate. So Brunton with the chance to sort of send this yellow into the back. It's going to curl up really nice. Is this a longhouse double? Yes, it is. Team Inglis has been playing fantastic. Not a doubt in anyone's mind she was going to make that fantastic shot from Brunton. Wow, this has just been quite a clinic from this team from Ontario. They have not missed much out of those first couple ends. Lovely shot. Lovely shot. Carey looking for the same draw in behind. Give Burgess a chance to adjust the tolerance a bit here for sure. He can afford to be a little bit deeper too. This one's wide though. And we'll come in just so. Now, if we're throwing from the left hack, you can see a little bit of that yellow rock. Wouldn't surprise you if they tried to just poke it away. Or just come right to it. So if you come to it, then Team Carey maybe tries to draw on the other side. You have some options on that side. Even if you did a red, you might end up getting lucky and just sort of throwing one in the 4-foot. So wouldn't surprise if they come down with this. Just looking at the ice, maybe kind of like just like a back 4 weight. You know, just kind of tap it back a little bit. I'm surprised if that's where they end up going here, this team from Ontario. Certainly be feeling the confidence at this point in the game. Keira Brunton has a background in sports psychology. I'm sure she's feeling the vibes right now in terms of how this team has been playing. That point when you're playing a sport like this, as much as it is kind of stilted, it's a little, you know, turn-based, whatever words you want to use, but there's still some times where you really feel that momentum, and I think they are feeling that right now. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate the views on this one. Hopefully everyone's been enjoying this game. It's been certainly a very interesting one. Lots of scoring. Some misses at the start, but after that, very few, considering this is the first game of the Spiel. Both teams have read the ice quite well. They come in behind. They want to just get the freeze, and they will. Small bounce, but I don't think it'll matter too much considering where that red rock is in correlation with the yellow. As we love to see this image here, the left pane of our screen that's from the hack. Carey will try to go after it. You could sort of bump it back. If it just sort of slices that yellow stone, you could be sitting 2. And at least you'd force Danielle to throw a hit. If you could ever get your shot stone buried off this, force Danielle to only pick one out, for example, could be in great shape. So second to last stone here for Team Carey. They have the hammer. And electing to play off of this red that was just thrown from Team Inglis. I think they're calling for weight more than line right now. Yeah, and they're going to start to carve it. If you have enough weight, you want to get really inside on this. Just skinny that top red. Ooh, that is pretty good from Team Carey. Again, her rock's really curled up real nice. They've been doing that all day, but that is a pretty nice spot, forcing Team Inglis to hit the outside half of that red to just try to clear one out. Certainly a potential to flash this. So they've put Team Carey, rather, have put Team Inglis in a position to at least get one miss out of the skip today. Look at it, just sort of just skimmed under again. It was so close to that guard, that 3.5 guard, just biting the top 12. A nice little spot here in the forefoot. So final stone here for Team Carey, or Team Inglis rather. They're up 10-6. Just looking to slice their own red into a yellow. Bow sweepers on this. Hopefully they like the line. Might just chip one out the back, and they will. So sets Carey up for a draw for 2. To be down by 2 going home in the 8th end. A clutch draw here from Team Carey as they look to keep their A qualifier hopes alive in Swift Current. Winner of this plays the winner of Schwala Grey Withers, which Schwala is up 5-2. Grey Withers has the hammer in the 7th. Keep you updated on that game as it comes down. Final stone here in the 7th. Chelsea Carey with a clutch draw. They certainly need their 2 to keep their hopes alive. Burgess with a strong sweep out here on the inside. They've got to keep this straight, and they've got to keep it moving. It's got to get a bit of the white paint. And it will over curl again. So Team Carey with just the 1 point, it looks like. Yeah, just the 1 point. And that'll be 10-7, and we will likely get some handshakes. Yes, we will. Team Inglis moves on here in Swift Current at the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown in Saskatchewan. Story of the game for sure for Team Carey is just those over curling rocks right down to the last draw. Really difficult to deal with those, and just having those tolerances being on the wrong side. On the other hand, Team Inglis played fantastic. Lots of great shots there from the skip. Kira Brunta as well came up big, and they were certainly in control of this game starting from about the 3rd end as you see that 4 spot on the scoreboard. For myself, Marty Thompson, and everyone here at Curling Stadium, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we've got games all weekend long. Be sure to check the schedule on Curling Zone for links and to see when your team is playing next. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.